privilege exercise in a township. Because before, I remember our congregation, like I said, it's a mostly white congregation. They complained, we're going to get shot, we're going to get stabbed, we are going to be hurt. How can the organization... You were questioning.
So for this next part of my video, I'm going to be chatting to Sika.
Hello, hi everybody.
Thank you so much for joining me today and availing yourself to this. And I think let's get right into it.
Yeah, let's do it.
Who is Lusika? Just tell the people who you are.
Lusika is a fun-loving, I would like to consider myself kind, but also ambitious individual. I would consider myself an intellectual, but also creative. And I feel, if there's one thing about
definitely me. All of that. So why I'm asking you this is I'm currently reading Finding Me by Viola Davis, and the first chapter, I think it's the first chapter. Wow, chapter. The first chapter, she's having a conversation with Will Smith, and Will Smith asks her, "Who are you?" And she's like, and Will Smith explains that he's still a 9-year-old boy who I think got rejected or something like that, or 19, I can't remember exactly. But then Viola explains that she's this young child. I think she's like still 5. I can't remember exactly what her response was, but that really prompted me to think to myself, who is Monica? And for me, I realized I'm still that 5-year-old who is seeking validation from their parents, who's seeking attention from their family. And I feel like I've been stuck at that place, and it's now that I'm finding myself, that we've left this religion and I've allowed myself to really see who is Monica, who has Monica grown up to.
Yes.
So that's what I'm asking you. So let me ask you again now.
Okay.
Who is Lusika?
Lusika is someone whose voice wants to be heard. Lusika is also someone who wants to be validated, and she's someone who wants you to value her as a person. Like, don't shut me out, listen to me, see me. That's who Lusika is.
See me.
Yes, see me.
I think it's really you. See me.
See me.
Because when you walk into a room, even if it's quiet, even though you're never quiet like me, we're never quiet.
You can't hear.
But I see you. There's no way Lusika walks into a room and you don't see her. Like, you command the space. You carry yourself with so much pride, so much assurity. Like, yeah, you walk in the space and Lusika has arrived, you know.
Thank you, friend. That means a lot to me, actually. That really does. So yeah, I just want you to see me, but also recognizing that other people want to be seen, so not overshadowing them. And I think I subconsciously, someone made me aware of it, but I didn't realize that subconsciously when speaking to people, I try to bring their points back to me. I try to validate them, listen to what they're saying, bring not almost make it a, oh, I've also experienced that.
I do that.
And you know, that's not always wrong.
Me too, because when I talk to someone and I'm going through something, when you say, oh my gosh, I've also gone through it too, it validates you.
It validates you, and there's also a rapport that this person isn't judging me.
Yeah.
They're not looking at me going, oh shame, but mentally going, oh my word, what? They see you, they feel you, and they can reassure you to continue being open with them, especially when you create that space. So that's also very important to me.
Oh wow, I like the direction this question took. But let's get into the second one, and that is, why did you leave the Jehovah's Witnesses? I mean, for some people, they believe like it's such an amazing religion. Why did you leave?
FYI, it's not. So I'm joking, but it's not, honestly. So you know, I've kind of given you a background of who I am. We've been friends for a while. You know my upbringing, and my upbringing has been very black conscious. And not black conscious, a lot of people, when you tell them you're black conscious, they tend to equate it with white hatred.
And Lusika is the most white black person that I know. From her fashion sense, I think your taste in music, yes. Her aesthetic, like Lusika's aesthetic is just so white. I'm just like, yeah, you white.
And that's definitely a product of my environment, growing up in a majority white area, white school, white congregation, white everywhere. But I think with my parents, they tried to instill, they didn't want the blackness inside us to drown, right? So we were taught that the pyramids were built by black people. The pharaohs were black. Even as a 5-year-old, it's inculcated in you. So that as a 15-year-old, you know how to explain it. Why have the noses of the phoenix, or the sphinx rather, been removed? Why do the mummies' caskets have the noses removed? You explain it like that. Why do all the noses? Because your nose is an identifier of a race, right? But aside from that, as someone who was raised by black conscious parents, you grow up in this congregation that's 99% white. You're the only black family. And you start hearing conversations, and it feels like every time you're going to the congregation, you're fighting to assert your blackness, and not in a confrontational way, but then it becomes confrontational. Going to the meetings with your natural hair, you're questioned. Going to the meetings with a head wrap, you're questioned. Oh, but Jehovah's, we're all one culture. Why are you being cultural? And if you think about it, my parents aren't cultural. I'm not cultural, but I'm black. And they would equate natural hair, a tuku, as trying to be.
Sorry, Lucica's dogs are here, so if the audio's picking it up, it's dogs. They just hear such cuties. They just hear.
Okay. So there was that, and then I remember. So every congregation, or most congregations, have a library with all the watchtowers, and I remember going through a 1960-something watchtower with my mom, and I remember one of the questions from readers was, why do black people smell?
No.
You can ask my sister. My sister was there, my mom was there, I think my brother was there. And for us, it kind of gave contextual explanation as to why a lot of white people in the congregation were so racist. Let me put it straight. A lot of white people in the congregation are racist. I'm not even going to...
unfortunately, and I realized that with my channel, sometimes when you speak about racial issues, it offends people because of whether we like it or not. All of us who've been Jehovah's Witnesses, we have a shared experience, no matter what your race is. But we have to also be honest and speak from our own perspectives as people of color, that yes, it's hard for everyone, but there's an added layer for us as well, people of color. Because I remember they had this program they were piloting where different congregations were visiting each other, and we had an Afrikaans congregation come to our congregation. Those people came twice. No, they came once, and we went once to them, and then they lied and said no, our congregation they can't keep coming to our congregation because our congregation said something along the lines of they're too busy now with I think they were building, because one of our elders was involved in the construction side of things. So they made it that excuse, because we asked the people like, oh, why are you guys coming or whatever, and they said that. I said like, oh, you guys are busy, stuff like that. And I said no, we were told you guys are busy. That's why you guys can't come. So already you can see that they were quite uncomfortable as white people being in black spaces. They felt unsafe. And what's crazy is when we went house to house, I felt unsafe in the white areas because people were so aggressive, whereas when they came to our side, they were so shocked by how people welcomed them in. They sit down. Plus black people, when you see white people, nah guys,
you know yourselves.
They'll welcome them into their house. Do you want something to drink? And people are actually sitting and listening. So the people who were in the congregation, in the white congregation, actually pioneers, were really like eagerly wanting to spread the word. They were actually heard because of, damn, here's people now who really want to listen, and we couldn't partake because of racism.
And that's also an element of white supremacy, the fact that in black spaces or in the township, white people were so openly welcomed. They still had that privilege exercised in a township. Because before, I remember our congregation, like I said, it's a mostly white congregation. They complained, we're going to get shot, we're going to get stabbed, we are going to be hurt. How can the organization... You were questioning your organization, but how dare the organization send us there? But they were welcomed, and it really hurt me because when the Xhosa congregation came to us, They literally just gave them hot dogs and crisps. When we went to the Xhosa congregation, they made like a full Sunday feast. I'm talking crumbed chicken, beef stew, rice, pasta salads, green salads. And it showed they put in so much effort because our congregation had a kitchen. And all they did was hot dogs. Like, we are...
Probably weren't even nice. Probably not even nice.
My mom was upset. And it showed the level of, they're blacks, they'll eat hot dogs. But they
probably even had bread. They eat pap in the morning, eating bread and hot dogs for the first time.
And we're helping them. So that shows the racial disparity within the congregation, and for the organization to suggest it in South Africa. Because it wasn't suggested in other countries. Did you notice that? It was piloted in South Africa because the organization saw a racial problem. The fact that it was picked up and piloted in the country shows how much of an issue.
Yeah, for those who don't know, like South Africa, there's still quite a lot of racial tension. I think that video of that kid at a swimming pool was quite evident of the climate of things here.
Yeah, true.
Okay, so now that we've spoken to why you left, so clearly you left due to racial issues you were experiencing. How did you leave?
It was tough. Actually, the person who gave me courage was this one. And then from a practical point of view, I think my sister helped a lot. So sister has decided something, she sticks to it, right? She stopped going to meetings and she just said, tell them I'm tired. That was her excuse. She stopped going to meetings.
It wasn't even an excuse. Like,
if you're tired, you're tired. This is an exhausting place. Gauteng is exhausting. And she stopped going to meetings and she did it very gradually. She'd come once and then she'd decide not to come. Like the one time I remember an elder coming to me, speaking loud again. I remember an elder coming to me and saying, oh, you know, your sister came to the meeting but you didn't come. I was shocked to see your sister because you don't come to the meeting. Or she doesn't come to the meeting. And then I'm like, the fact that they were okay with her not coming to the meetings mean that gradually, and then she stopped going to field service until eventually she stopped sending her field service card. A field service card is another way you're kept subjugated in religion. And that's what I decided to do. I decided to fade. And the advice that my mom gave me in addition to what you gave me is just cut them out before they cut you. Because as a social person, you're so used to being friends with everyone, you're so used to, or being friendly with everyone, you're so used to when you go to the shopping center, you see someone and, oh, Lucina, you're a social being and you're surrounded by people. So I needed to mentally prepare myself for the rejection, the social rejection by these people. And I needed to do that by socially rejecting them. So I would start by blocking people randomly. We'd be having a conversation, block, or I'd just stop responding to them. I would delete certain numbers.
You stress me, I block you.
Not on my phone. Not on my phone. You are not going to stress me on my phone. So I started gradually doing that. I also gradually, and another thing is I started growing my support system, my friendship system outside of the religion, because one of the biggest problems when people leave the religion is because they're so used to having so many around them, it now becomes overwhelming and such an unsafe space when you're alone. Then you tend to go back, which is what happens to a lot of people. So I faded.
It's very important, yeah. Like I actually put out a video about this months ago, that if you are planning on leaving, you have to start building your support system while you're already in it. Or if you decide to leave immediately, just remember that you have to force yourself to build a community outside of this community, because not having a community as human beings who need other people around us, you will go back, you will revert back. Otherwise you're going to be so depressed, you're going to feel so lonely. So definitely building a community outside of this is so important. For me, that really helped me. I didn't have friends, but I had siblings. Fortunately for me, I had siblings outside of the religion, and for them it was so encouraging, because even when I was still in it, they were like, why are you still here? And then when I left, they didn't judge me. We could openly talk about everything that happened. So it was that community for me that really saved me. So yeah, I totally understand what you're saying.
So that's also how I'd recommend anyone looking to leave. Don't, and they'll use mind tricks. I'll close the door. They'll use mind tricks like when a lamb is lost, it's alone out in the world and there's no one looking after it, except if they were to come back to the flock would surround it, or bad associations. So they use the Bible to weaponize your social life. So because you can't, and they also teach you how to they teach you, or they train you, or they brainwash you into dumbing down your perceptive powers
and your critical thinking.
So you don't know, you just think someone's friendly because they're a Jehovah's Witness. However, in the workplace, you immediately think everyone is wrong, everyone is of Satan, they're demonic, instead of finding individuals in the workplace or wherever you find yourself in that are good people. It doesn't teach you to find good people. It doesn't teach you to find good people. And I think that's one of the tricks as well, because you'll find someone who leaves the religion and ends up with a bad crowd, and they use that person as a poster boy. Now they're with bad people, they have no direction in life, it's just, it's a mess. Then you end up feeling ashamed of how you're living, because you weren't taught how to identify good people. You weren't taught how to identify good friends,
how to maintain friendships, because we were friends with people for the sake of just being friends because you were in one congregation or one religion, but we actually had nothing in common. No values that were aligned, you know. And when you left, all of a sudden now you need to make friends. And you need to start living life. But also, I think also for anyone who's watching this and you're probably living your best life, you're drinking, whatever, you know, just going ham because of where you come from. Just remind yourself that you were never allowed to live this life. When people were going through puberty, adolescence, and they were, you know, testing things out, trying them out, you weren't doing that. You know, so this is your opportunity. So we're not saying go out and just
be a nun,
or you know, or wreck your life, but be kind to yourself, you know, be gentle with yourself, speak to yourself the way you would speak to a friend, you know, a loved one. If you saw a loved one who was maybe going down the wrong path, how would you speak to them? You know, if you're speaking to someone who's trying to find themselves, how would you speak to them? You know, that kindness is so important and so needed. And to stop feeling guilty for just prioritizing yourself. If you're looking to just have a good time, have a good time. If you're looking to just, you know what, I'm gonna try new things, different things, try them. You're responsible for yourself. You're responsible for your own happiness. Don't let anyone try to dictate it and tell you what to do or not what to do.
Absolutely. Yeah,
guys, we've been through a lot.
it is a lot mentally, it is. But yeah, fading, I think that's the best way. If you still want to maintain some sort of contact with family members that are Jehovah's Witnesses, go for the fading option. Because if you write a letter and you disassociate or you become disfellowshipped, it's done for you literally until you come back. You are treated as persona non grata. You cease to exist in their world.
Yeah, and I actually think there's a certain power you hold by fading and not disassociating. Because I feel like when you disassociate, you're still playing at their game. You're still doing what they want you to do. So they want you, if you're leaving, they want you to say, I want to leave. On their terms. That's why for me, I never disassociate. I never wrote a letter. I also faded. I'm just gonna fade because you're not gonna tell me how to leave. You're not gonna tell me how to live my life. You're not gonna tell me how to associate with my family. You're not gonna, like, who are you? And I'm not listening to you.
You've been telling me how to live my life.
Right?
The buck stops here now.
Exactly. Okay, I think that was a good way to wrap up that question. Let's move into life right now. Like, how's life post leaving the Jehovah's Witnesses?
I'm still finding myself. I'm also still being kind to myself. I'm still doing my best to be true to myself, because I am still the friendly person that you know.
You still are. You haven't changed, honestly. You haven't, but yeah.
I also experience less anxiety, because there's this, it's like you're in a rat or is a hamster wheel, where you're constantly trying to live up to
dog hair.
Sorry, I've got fur babies. But you're constantly trying to live up to a certain standard which most humans can't. You have to submit a field service. Every time you go out in the field, you must try to get someone to go back to and preach to. You need to place a certain number of magazines. You need to be at the meetings every Sunday. You need to prepare for those meetings. So it's not enough just sitting there and being present at the meetings. You need to answer, because if you don't answer, they will come and ask why you're not spiritual enough. So there's this certain measure of spirituality that you are constantly trying to meet and trying to measure up to, and they were using God as a scapegoat, not knowing, not contradicting their own Bible, which says that God looks at you as an individual and not your neighbor and not your friend.
I really just want to expound on that quickly. It's really about you fitting in. It's never about who is actually Monica. What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? Oh, you're good at this, let's tap into this. You know, it's not even about that. You always have to conform to be like everyone else, and we can't all conform and be the same. We're not.
We can never.
It's like our bodies. If all of us were like, okay, let's go on the same diet, we're all gonna eat the same food, same time, every day, and maybe do the same exercises. If we all do that, the whole world, believe it or not, we all still wouldn't be the same size.
That's true.
We still wouldn't be the same size. So here as well, it's like you can't be yourself. You really just, you as a person, your own identity does not exist.
Exactly.
It literally does not exist.
That is absolutely, that's the scary part.
It really is. Who are you outside of this?
Besides placing 20 magazines, who are you? We start caring, or the elders start caring, they start wondering if anything's wrong when you stop going to meetings. Why not generally checking in on me as an individual? Maybe I'm having, because you will have ups and lows in your life, so ups and downs, sorry, in your life. So why not check on people because you genuinely care about them, not because they're not putting in enough hours, or they're not conforming to your corporate environment that's called the Watchtower Tract and Bible Society.
And ask them how's their relationship with God. Because for me, after leaving, I realized that God is your God. And when I say God is your God, God is whatever you think he or she is. God is whatever you need in life. And it's always going to be about your relationship with God. Or him or she, whatever you want to call it, the universe, whatever. It's always going to be about you and that being. Sorry, I won't call it a being,
but I understand that
higher power. Yes. It's always about that. And for me, I think that was also another challenge for me, because it was never about my relationship with God. It was my relationship with the organization, then to God.
Yes.
You know,
it was secondary.
Yes, really, it was secondary. Honestly, because when they said do self-study and whatever, it's still you using the publication.
Exactly.
It's still you being told what to believe, what not to believe.
And you know, for me, what was most refreshing, reading the Bible without any Jehovah's Witness
intimidation. Oh my gosh.
Do you see that skit? Yeah, I forgot who it was, but some comedian who grew up as a Jehovah's Witness.
No.
And he was like, you know, every Sunday we go out, and he's skitting, he's doing his skit. He's like, every Sunday we'd go out and we'd have to place the watchtower, the wake. I mean, they even had a red book to the purple book, every color in the rainbow. And then I would ask myself, you guys think God didn't finish the Bible that you had to
that you have to add on for him?
And I think it was Eddie Griffin, that guy that was on Malcolm and Eddie.
I'm gonna look him up.
Please look him up. It was hilarious. But after watching that skit, and it just popped up on my YouTube, I don't know why, but it just popped up, and I'm like, but when God wrote, because remember there's a scripture that says where he condemns anyone who adds or takes away from the Bible. And Jehovah's Witness, by virtue of their creating these little magazines, these little self-study guides, these little Bible story books and whatnot, what you want to call them, they were adding to the Bible, because they were adding man's opinion. Because when you read the Bible and you read it with the mind of, especially I'm speaking especially to people who have adopted Christianity and are following that after leaving, because I know there are some who've decided to cut all ties with religion, become atheist or agnostic, that's fine. But from my perspective, when you read the Bible, you read it from, what does God want me to understand? What am
you were talking about God and
self-study.
Yes.
Oh yes. So with regards to the self-study aspect, I think a lot of people forget that all these publications, these watchtowers, these awakes are based on a man's opinion, the writing department at Bethel or the head office. It's not based on your relationship with God and what God wants for you. So you read it from I'm doing it because I need to answer questions, or I'm doing it because I was told I need to do it. Now you're reading the Bible from okay, but what is expected of me? How should I live in today's world in context with what I'm reading, me trying to be better and also being guided? For me, it should be a guide on how to be the best person you can be, not what a minister or a higher religious leader is trying to elder. How can you improve on the person you were yesterday? And I believe that's what the Bible does.
I can definitely agree with that, because when it comes to life, we're all on different journeys.
Absolutely.
Different paths, going through different things. Yes, we might have shared experiences, but they will not be similar. And our needs are not going to be the same as well.
No.
So it's like being hungry, not even being hungry, but requiring food to nourish your body. And right now what you need is water, and then someone coming along giving you, I don't even know what, an apple. Yes, like an ice cream. Like, you don't need that.
I think I think you might have also experienced this as well, but after leaving the religion, you are living up to your true self. You're not doing things to try to intimidate or try to impress someone. This is who you are. These are the best of my abilities. You're literally letting your yes mean yes, without trying to, elder so and so said, my sister, you can do 20 hours, so I'm pushing. You're literally giving your best, and you know when you're not giving your best. You're living as honest life as possible. And also in your friendships, if you feel a friendship is not working for you, it's maybe becoming toxic, you walk away.
Easy.
Whereas in the religion now, how do you explain to someone that you're actually a bad person? Yes, you are one of Jehovah's Witnesses, you've studied, you're a pioneer, but how do you explain that you're actually a bad person?
And that's how gossiping starts.
That's how gossiping starts.
They say bad stuff about people, and the jealousy, and just all of these things that happen. Because also, like, what happens within the Jehovah's Witness organization is that when someone starts expressing themselves and being true to who they are, you'll start hearing things like, you need to stop associating with so and so because they're seeming a bit worldly. That time you're just being yourself. I used to love fashion. I love fashion. I love dressing up. I'm a very creative person. And there's this one girl, we were best friends, and she was told to stop being friends with me just because I was starting to dress the way I wanted to dress. And I wasn't even dressing provocatively. I was just wearing more color, or just being myself.
Yes. Clothes.
And yeah, this religion really, it took a lot from us. And I think for anyone who's leaving or thinking of leaving or has left and they're just having a hard time, just be kind to yourself, because this is hard, and only a select few people will understand what it is that you're going through. But be kind to yourself and talk to people. I feel like also talking to people who aren't part of this world can help you put things into perspective, because of some of the stuff you go through can be so silly where you feel horribly uncomfortable if you were to encounter Jehovah's Witnesses right now and you've left.
True.
Like, for me, even still, if I was to bump into someone, it's just, I feel so awkward, don't know what to do, don't know how to act, because it was instilled in me that I need to appease these people at all times.
Absolutely.
And it takes someone who's not part of this religion to be
like, you, how?
Like, that's not a thing. You
know?
So yeah, man, just be kinder to yourself.
Love yourself, and also laugh at yourself as well.
Yes,
laugh at yourself. If there's one thing I can, like, this journey, I've learned to laugh at myself. I remember my brother, just a quick example, was he broke up with someone, and I asked him, and then what happened? You know, it sounded like he was like, I left a high control religion to be in a high control relationship. No, you know, and we laughed so hard. And even today he's like, this career that you're pursuing is so in line with how we grew up, well done. You know, laugh at yourself. That's just make light of. And yes, it's painful growing up as a Jehovah's Witness, and then you leave, you actually are angry for a long time. These people are following orders, they're foot soldiers.
Exactly.
And as easy as it is to hate the foot soldiers, remember there's a controlling body that is living nice and living la vida loca
in New York, baby.
New York, they're a property ownership company. They're not a book publishing company. So laugh at yourself and be kind and feel what you need to feel. If you're angry, be okay with being angry.
I think I'm happy with this. Do you want to add anything?
I'm happy with this as well. But yeah, we're pursuing our dreams,
living our best lives.
Obviously nothing is ever perfect, but I remember once going through the most. I wasn't having the best time, and my mom actually said, remember, you don't have to go to the meeting.
Literally, I wanted to say,
you don't have to go to field service. You don't have to fill in a field service report card. Let that, and I'm not saying don't feel the sadness you're feeling or the low emotions that you're going through, but remember, you don't have to wipe those tears and go sit at a Kingdom Hall where people don't care about you. And just remember that.
Yeah, I always tell myself the same thing as well, where when I'm feeling low or things are not going the way I thought they would, I just remind myself that, you know what, the period that I'm in right now sucks. It really sucks. But it will suck a whole lot more if I had to go to a Kingdom Hall and be there, have to study, prepare,
and answer,
sing those songs, deal with people who don't even care about me, who don't even like me. So yeah, you just have to remind yourself that it can be worse if you had to go deal with that. And if you're still in it and you want to leave, have the courage to put yourself first for the first time in a long time, and just say, you know what, this is for me, irrespective of what may happen. I'm going to leave for myself. It's going to be hard, but once you leave your comfort zone, I promise you, life is going to change, and it's going to surprise you, and it's going to be good. It might be hard at the beginning, but it's going to get better. That I promise you.
Absolutely, that's so true.
I think we can leave it here. Thank you so much for watching, and